going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Draft Live. Yes, it's not weekly cheddar on the channel at the moment. Jake Shavink here with special guest JJ Leahy. JJ, how are you doing?
Super special guest. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hope you guys are enjoying your Thursday evening. For the viewers who are just tuning in, a little bit impromptu. I mentioned it on the weekly cheddar last night that we were just going to come on here the next 4 days and just kind of talk about the combine and what's going on. Today was a big one. They call it defensive line and linebacker. I don't know why they can't just throw edge in there as a designation. It would make, a lot of the RAS card stuff a little bit easier.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I think, maybe JJ will just throw this on the Packernet Podcast Network as well. So for those listening there,
Heck yeah.
I'm sure hope you're enjoying your Friday and hope you're ready for day 2 of the combine as you're listening to this. But we're going to look at, JJ, I think just some of the standouts, maybe a few disappointments. I know there's a few guys who, there's one guy I think in particular that maybe had a pretty big weight fluctuation, at least come in relative to what we thought he was going to be at. And I'm sure we'll get to him. But yeah, we'll take a look at some standouts. JJ, is there anywhere you want to go first? Do we want to talk about a potential dream that might be dashed for the Green Bay Packers? Do we want to bring him up?
There's a couple different directions you could be going with this. Are you looking at Braylon Trice?
I'm not looking at Braylon Trice. I am looking at our buddy here. Adam Huddle sent me this a few hours ago. And Darius Robinson, his testing numbers, unofficial here, based on, I think, the dash times. Yeah. But Darius Robinson as a defensive end, not looking great here for the dream of landing him maybe at pick 25 or 41. Any thoughts here, JJ, on maybe just what you see on the screen here, or any thoughts on Robinson in general?
Well, I mean, I still like the tape that I've seen of Robinson. Clearly, Robinson at edge is just not going to happen. But I am right now, as we speak, trying to manually put him in as a defensive tackle and see how he compares there, because
here we are.
Maybe there's still some hope for us after all here.
Here's Robinson at defensive tackle.
Oh, you got it? Oh,
yep.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, right here. We got it in both windows. So, yeah, we could take a look at what he looks like at defensive tackle versus defensive end. And that's,
I got to be honest, I like
big part of this.
The 285 at defensive tackle doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah, I don't think it's inherently bad necessarily. It just depends. We've seen Green Bay kind of prefer over 300 for the most part. Obviously, there's the Colby Wooden situation of it all. And he was drafted to kind of push inside, but maybe he's coming now back to the defensive end and play there. I don't know. It's tough. This is
you're looking at, if you're looking for like historical comps here for the Packers over the last few years, 285 is borderline, but it's certainly not disqualifying. Let me just throw a caveat out there to the people listening who are immediately bristling, like, who cares, what the historical numbers were. We're putting this out there for the people who do care, all right? If you don't care, then just don't listen. But as far as like what Green Bay has liked in the past, okay, 275 would be the cutoff that you'd be concerned about. So we got a good 10 pounds of wiggle room there in between. Yeah, he's a little light and like panic mode. I think 285 is not too bad at all.
And the way he plays, he's a very powerful player too at 285 as well. Like, I know Senior Bowl, they're giving him reps one-on-one, and he's able to win against guards. And that's something where, there's a variety of ways you can win. He loves to straight bull rush, but we've kind of seen him be able to kind of turn the corner on guards, which is, a big deal. And I think if the defense is going to get aggressive at all, I think that, there's no reason that he couldn't play inside. I know Brian Maffey's here in the comments. How's it going, Brian? He said Goody would have him at 10 pounds. Also says JJ dreams of T'Vondre Sweat. I'm sure we're going to be bringing up his card here momentarily. And Janelle says hello. Hello, Janelle. How are you?
I feel like I was the only person who wasn't previously drooling over T'Vondre Sweat, so today didn't crush me too much. And Darius for a second, like,
yep,
a lighter guy on the inside just means, more agile. This doesn't worry me that much,
which is good. I think that's something that I'm just interested because there's just so much we're speculating on to this point, right? What the Hafley defense is going to look like, what type of player he might want to add at each level of the defense. So there's still a lot of speculation, right? But at the same time, we still have some Goody and Ted Thompson historical trends, which, are good things to work off of on top of it. But this is good. We'll take this at defensive tackle all day. The 173, it's tough to be for him to be compared to with that 10-yard split that we're referring to, by the way. It was a 173. It's unofficial at this point. I don't know if it's official yet. I'll have to look at if Kentley Platt, by the way, updates these cards, these RES cards very quickly. So follow him on Twitter at MathBomb. But it's hard for him to be compared to like a Chop Robinson, right? Who
speaking of real quick,
a freak athlete. Oh, I've got his too.
Well, no, what the heck is Chop's legal first name? Because he's not like I'm looking at a data poll that I got from Kentley Platt, and he literally doesn't have Chop Robinson in here. I know Chop's numbers.
Yeah.
What is his legal first name?
I found this interesting. Oh, it's like oh man, it's spelled DEMEIOUN, I think.
Oh,
pretty sure that's how it's spelled.
Marion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see why he goes by Chop.
Yeah. He has apparently there was talking earlier about this week about like he has a lot of nicknames too.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got a lot of them, which is really interesting.
Why do I feel like we just drafted somebody? Like as we're looking here at the Darius Robinson thing, and we're talking about like, oh, here's how this makes me feel. Why do I feel like we just drafted him?
I don't know. I don't know. That's how it goes. The combine. The Packers fans and fans around the league really all have guys they really like, and then it's kind of like dive in right away and be like, all right, how'd this guy do? And so that's the immediate, I think, reaction. Exactly this is interesting. Eric Armstead, someone put this in the comments on Ken's post on Darius Robinson at defensive tackle. So Eric Armstead 6'7" and 8", 292. And then the 40 stuff, 10-yard splits at 175. I mean, not horrible. Put, what's the arm length? Yeah, arm length pretty simple. I mean, Darius Robinson's arm length is insane, 34 and a half. So, not too crazy comparison there. We can go to this really quick. Let's get this over with really quick. Let's talk about T'Vondre Sweat, because everybody was, I think, really interested to see what the weigh-in number was going to be.
Stinky numbers.
And I know, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think back in the spring, I think there was a 346 verified weight for Sweat, and he didn't weigh in Mobile, so there was a lot of speculation there. But like, all right, what's the actual number? I don't know if Texas had him listed at this, but PFF had him listed at 362. So comes in at 6'4.5", 366. Big guy, obviously. And is there anything you're really expecting from a guy at 366 to kind of jump relative to the entire defensive tackle class? Like relative to guys at 290 and 300, are you expecting any of these explosion grades or speed grades to be good? Like there's obviously one thing that like at nose tackle that like this is what you're doing. Like you're not doing a lot of these other things that a Chris Jenkins is going to do or a Byron Murphy's going to do, right?
Yeah, I mean he's not really my type of defensive tackle, to be honest with you. I don't really go for the and I know that this body type is rare, right? But it's the what the heck is the name of the really big guy with like the 1.4 RAS that we drafted in the 7th round a couple years ago.
Oh, you're talking about Jonathan Ford?
Jonathan Ford. I kept thinking Jonathan Garvin. Wrong guy, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I know that body type is like rare. And if you ask Goody about him, he'd be like, listen, you know, this type of guy just doesn't grow on trees. Okay, well, they also can't move very quickly.
Right, exactly.
So it's not really my type.
Yeah, it's hard to be quick at this level. Can he obviously make an impact? Of course he can. As far as Green Bay goes, I think, you know, Brian's talked about this as well. Just don't think so. Pretty much 0% chance. I just think that the Packers know what their type is. They've gone to 330 with Slayton. I feel like that's as far as they're going to go. And, you know, someone will draft him. Someone will draft Sweat probably on day 2. And either they're going to plug him into a role that you see the Ravens have, what they have, like a Michael Pierce, right? They have Travis Jones. They have a lot of those big guys. You know, you're playing 5 down linemen. You know, you want that guy in the middle. This is probably that guy, right? Like it's just not. You know, I don't know if people were like hoping that we were going to see, you know, a Jordan Davis type of thing going on here this week. You know, because he kind of was. I remember he was in an interview this week, and he's like, "Jaws are going to drop when I run the 40."
Yes.
Okay. I don't think so.
I'm not sure whose jaw dropped anywhere. Mine didn't.
Yeah. I this is a number. This feels like, I think, a respectable number at 366, but like, you know, if you tell me he was going to run like sub 5 and he actually did it, then the ears would, you know, kind of do that double take, like, what, he really did that? So yeah, I mean,
well, and
it is what it is.
I think it's important, you know, when you're looking at one of these RS cards, and I love RS, I do. When you're looking at it, there is some context you have to bring on your own, right? Just because it says that his weight is elite doesn't mean that that's a good thing. It just means compared to all the other defensive tackles, his weight is massive,
which tracks. Yep.
So you know, it is being that heavy on the defensive line actually a good thing? I would say not when it comes to the expense of a lot of these other testing numbers being really low. And I think that if he dropped 20 plus pounds, I think that some of these numbers would be a lot more respectable. And I think that, you know, if you're looking at the trade-off of being that heavy on the defensive line, and hey, you know, does it actually translate to a lot more power and ability to really sit on a running back? How many running backs are going to be able to push back a 340-pound defensive tackle compared to 360-pound defensive tackle? Like, and yeah, I know it's not just the running backs, it's the offensive line too, but come on, they're 20, 40 pounds lighter than this themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think with Sweat, it's early downs. You have to be able to anchor against double teams. If you can't do that in the league at this weight, that's what your role is, and so it's going to be very difficult to get on the field otherwise. I mean, it's been documented, and Eagles fans have been talking about this too, and it seems like it's the case. Like, you know, Jordan Davis has had conditioning things and like issues there at his weight, and it's not 366. So, and he was another one, like with Sweat, it's kind of the same thing, right? Sweat was rotating in a 4-man rotation a lot this year, didn't have the snap counts that guys like Newton did, guys like Jenkins that, like, you know, Newton had like 700 some snaps, you know, Murphy and Sweat were in like the 400s, I think. So, you know, is that another part of it that, you know, we were kind of, you know, when Jordan Davis thing was going on, it was like, well, Georgia rotates a lot of guys. That's true, but also, you know, it could be a conditioning thing where he has to come off the field sometimes, and that could be the same deal with Sweat. So it's all of this, you know, the RS card's not everything, but it's, you know, you put a little bit into it. You also realize, like JJ, like you mentioned, it's like he's probably going to be the biggest, right? His size grade is going to be elite because he's so big, and the speed and explosion stuff is going to be probably pretty poor because he's that big, and guys that big just don't run that fast relative to the rest of the crop. Let's bring up this guy, JJ. I want to bring him up quick as well because
heck yeah,
jumps on the exactly jumps on the on the radar here a little bit more. Eric Watts, who I believe, I'm just going to double check something really quick. I'm going to take him off the screen for 2 seconds while I check PFF. But yeah, Eric Watts.
Wait, what question do you have about him?
Do you have him up?
Well, I have everything.
Okay, so he was.
What do you want on him?
Where his snaps were on the.
I have that. So
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Let's.
We filtered to just him, so I don't get confused about anybody else. Okay, so his snaps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm gonna pull him back up.
Well, he had 545 snaps lined up outside the tackle this past year.
Yeah, this looks like a day 3 moldable prospect here for the Packers who has the size to play defensive end. Right? This is I know there's been a lot of talk, I think, even on the like PackerNet Facebook page and all this about like what the defensive ends have to look like to play this scheme. And I feel like Van Ness and Gary are going to fit in perfectly fine. Some people might want 290 at defensive end. I think that's unrealistic with today's NFL. I think you got to be athletic enough out there. And I think Gary and Van Ness are powerful enough on the edge. So now it comes back to is Watts a very powerful player? I, to be honest, have not seen much film of his at all to this point.
I've never watched him. He had 12 snaps total inside.
Okay.
2 in the A or B gap, 10 lined up over the tackle, 545 outside the tackle. This is kind of an intriguing guy to me, more so in run defense. I really am not impressed with the numbers from his pass rush game.
Yeah.
So he had a shoot, is this 15 or 0.15? I think it's 1.5. Now I'm questioning.
What is it?
He's got a good miss rate. I gotta remove
the tackle rate.
Missed tackle rate, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 15% missed tackle rate, which is actually not bad compared to his peers in this class. His pressure rate is only about 11%, which actually for college is not that great. In the NFL, you'd be fine with it, but not blown away.
Right.
In college, it's a little bad. 11.5. It's like baseline acceptable, wouldn't cut you over it. Doesn't add anything in coverage, of course, on the 4 snaps that he played. Shocker for a defensive end. But that's because Joe Barry wasn't telling what to do out there.
Yeah.
I kid.
You're telling me he wasn't covering slot receivers? Dang.
I'm telling you, he was not a 3-4 outside linebacker.
How's
that?
Right.
Like a true defense end.
There you go.
But as a run stopper, 78.7 run defense grade from PFF.
Pretty good.
They gave him a 66.6 pass rush grade. What is he failing here? He's not hitting one of our Brian Maffey thresholds. Which one is it? Which one is he failing? Must be the weight. I don't know.
Could be.
He's failing something. 6'5", 277. Now
he's got the arm length. He's this athleticism stuff looks good, unless it's. But quickly with Eric Watts, for those listening on the pod, 6'5" and 5'8", 274, 35 and 3/4 inch arms. Puts up a 162 unofficial 10-yard split, which is really, really good. Yeah, this is impressive. Now, obviously, this doesn't, right? When we're talking about Eric Watts, we're not saying, well, yes, look at this elite RAS scorer, 3rd round pick. It's like, no. It's like, we're not going to go there, right? Like, this is kind of the thing. JJ and I were kind of talking about this last night, I think, maybe even after we finished up Derailed. It was like, some of these guys just jump out and have like, 10 RAS almost at the combine, and their film's not like super good. And it's like, guys are like, well, okay, we got better. Why do you think of this guy relative to like day 2 players? And it's like, slow your roll a little bit. But, Brian says good using his arms in the run game, which is good. If you got that type of length and you're not using it well, I've got some questions there.
Yeah.
And apparently raw from a technical standpoint as a rusher. Sounds like he fits in terms of like, throw a 5th round pick 168 maybe his way, right? If you like what you see from a toolbox standpoint, really for any team. I know we're kind of focusing a little bit more on Green Bay at this point, but like for any team that plays like this, like especially Cincinnati, one example is a team that they play bigger on the edge as well. They're a 4-down defensive line. They like defensive ends as big. Another team that could throw, a day 3 pick his way, because this is something where, you like to see specifically edge rushers, defensive ends, or outside linebackers, however you want to, whatever bucket you want to put them in. A lot of these numbers are really good and can definitely translate if the development track happens. Apparently, Brian's saying it's the broad jump. That's the Mendoza number here. 9.9.
Yeah.
Not great, but not too shabby.
So we had a question in the chat 8 minutes ago from Adam about the Ole Miss edge. So he's talking about Cedric Johnson. He rolled in with a 9.6 RAS.
Let me see if
unofficial RAS.
This one right here. Is this
what
we got? Yeah. There we go. 161. 260. So not super big, but not too small by any means. Play out there.
I'm not a huge fan of some of the stuff that I see from him numbers wise. 25% missed tackle rate is not great. We're talking 9 missed tackles, 26 tackles made. Pressure rate of 12.9% is good enough. I'm not going to sneeze at it. It's certainly not elite, but it's good enough. He actually had a decently high number of coverage snaps. He played 44 snaps in coverage.
Now we're talking.
Gave up a 91.7 pressure rate or passer rate when targeted, 63 PFF coverage grade. His tackling grade, I mentioned the missed tackles being high. Yeah. Tackling grade 47.4. That's well below average. Really not what you want to see.
Yeah.
Overall, his run defense grade wasn't great either. So he's pretty much just a pure pass rusher who's okay at pass rush.
Yeah.
But as you can see, pretty athletic, if a tiny bit short.
Yeah. I think another guy that, maybe teams in 3-4 could look his way, but this is more of the 4-3 defensive end true type that 4 down fronts are going to look for. Again, on day 3, 161, if that becomes an official 10-yard split, that is an extremely good number to look at, combined with, good explosion testing numbers on top of that. So really, really
true
good
defensive end who's maybe a bit of a liability in run defense.
Yeah. So rotational probably type player. Of course, early on, maybe you get him to become a starter at some point. There was one more I pulled up because I wanted to talk about him because we're looking pretty nice here for Braden Fisk from Florida State. Or is it Fisk?
992. That was a pretty spicy RAS. I like seeing that.
Yeah. And so starts out the Senior Bowl week, pretty dominant performances. And the fact that he's, able to land strikes and really kind of give himself good angles to the quarterback through the contact phase. He's explosive off the line. He's got some power behind him, and he's doing this with 31-inch arm length. Like, that's impressive stuff. It is not easy to have a disadvantage, and especially a pretty sizable one in that area, and be as disruptive as he's been. I mean, I think all of these numbers, when you look at it, so Fisk, for those listening on the pod, 6'4", 292 is the size. We mentioned the 31-inch arm length, but the 10-yard split's a 169 at 292. That's really, really good. And then jumps up with a 95th percentile vertical and a 97th percentile broad jump. That explosiveness, it's there. It's there on film. That is things that translate. You're not double counting it, but it's just confirming what you see on film. with him, because this is the kind of, 3-tech disruptor type that teams will look at. And maybe you're looking at, him maybe getting a little bit of bump in the media, but like this is your teams will be looking in the middle rounds for that pass rushing type over anything else, of get him in the rotation, let him go chase a QB, even if it's on third down. Like there's room for him in the league.
He's currently projected early to middle third round.
There you go.
Kind of an older cat at 24.1 years old as of today. Decent production for an interior guy.
Yeah.
About 1 1/8 impact plays per game, which is north of where you need him to be. His pressure rate is 10%, which is decent for an interior guy. Not amazing, but decent. 15% missed tackle rate, pretty good. 25 run stops this past year. That's pretty high. Love to see that. One thing I noticed with him that, and I have not really watched any of his tape, but I do notice just his overall PFF grade went down from an 86.6 last year to a 72.9 this year. And in particular, his tackling grade this year was just a 60.6, basically dead average. Yeah. So the 9.9 RAS, super duper intriguing. Love to see that. But when I do sit down and watch him, I will be paying attention to the tackling and the run defense, and then also just the fact that he's already 24 years old. That's definitely older.
Yep, for sure. I think he is going to do, kind of the diet version of what the Bucks want Kalijah Kancey to be doing, right? And I think Kancey's arm length is similar. Don't think, Fisk quite compares to Kancey in terms of how disruptive,
so much.
How disruptive he was coming out of college, but as I mentioned, kind of the diet version of that in terms of get him in the middle rounds and just let him go chase QBs. You don't have to have him out there on early downs necessarily. But yeah, there are some guys to highlight. I can bring up a few more if anybody's interested in a certain player. We'll see if Kent's kind of got them up and running. I know the linebackers were kind of finishing as we went live, so we're kind of waiting on that. But any thoughts, JJ, on this that I want to bring up? This is all. This is it. This is all I want. This is all I want.
Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, the 4.44 from Peyton Wilson. We'll take.
Yeah,
we'll take that.
I just tweeted Jiminy Christmas. That was my entire thought. Man. Just, I mean, I think he's probably the most fun, unless Tommy Eichenberg is your thing, but like the most fun linebacker to watch in this class.
Yeah.
And like really separates himself as like clearly top 2 linebackers in this class. No question about it. It comes down to, do you like his game or Cooper's game more? But it's hard to not be excited about Peyton Wilson. And then, and the speed is evident when you watch him.
Yeah, I am. It's going to be hard. I think I know a lot of people are going to like Edgerrin Cooper a lot. I know there are still Trotter fans out there. I know there are Junior Colson fans out there, but like just watching and enjoying how Peyton Wilson plays and how Cedric Gray plays, it's just going to be hard to move me off of both of those guys once the draft comes around, because both of them I just enjoy how they play and what they can bring to a team. Obviously, it's going to be a little different from both of them, right? Gray, you're going to see more and more coverage. I think, Wilson, you could see him operating, I think, with a few more hats, in his closet to say. But like, I'm interested to see what the full numbers are with Peyton Wilson. But like, it's going to be hard to. If your team drafts Peyton Wilson, you should be excited. And I know Brian is going to be the buzzkill and pour cold water on all of our excitement. Because
Brian,
of the injury concern
that,
and the age concern, I think are both the things that are going to hold Wilson back from being a Packer. But it's tough because it's going to be tough to watch him on a different team, but I'm excited for him because I know it's tough. Injuries, battling that, playing a game you enjoy and not being on the field is tough. It's not fun, right? Like I'm glad that he got a full season this year and he went out and dominated.
All right, here's the
Brian. You got to do it though, Brian. You can't let us get too excited over here. That's important. But Brian the realist, he knows what's up in Green Bay's room, and that's important. So, is it time, JJ? Is it time to talk about this cat? It's time to talk about this cat. So
I don't even know what to say here. The 245 caught me off guard.
Yeah, I think it caught most of us off guard. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I thought, hold on, this has got to be a different player. I don't know what's happening here.
He doesn't look.
Had him listed at 274.
He doesn't look 245 at all.
No, he looks well built. I don't. It's hard for me to look at Trice and then go look at Jonah Ellis and say, oh yeah, Jonah Ellis, at least what he was listed at, it was 246, and go, I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. Now, could Trice have trimmed weight for the combine?
Not the tallest ever, but still, he doesn't. Even at 6'3", he doesn't look 245.
And I know he was, listed at 6'4". I saw Brian's comment just now. I know he's listed at 6'4", so 6'3.5" coming in at it. That doesn't necessarily surprise me, right? You kind of assume that teams are mostly, inflating the height numbers, but this is just shocking. I think I'm intrigued to see how he would look as a linebacker, to be honest. I haven't gone in and tried that yet, but yeah, to come in and kind of the 165 isn't bad. Now I don't know if he's done the other stuff. I know someone was talking about he was doing this injured, and I'm like, well, why would he do that unless he got hurt during a 40? But to drop that much weight, it's strange now because he now has turned himself into a 3-4 outside linebacker at 245. And again, he's really good rushing the passer, right? We've seen him 70 pressures last year. Dude's just racking them up week in and week out. But
he also had an absurd 466 pass rush attempts. He had a 15% pressure rate, which is solid. It's not insane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
If we're talking about moving him to outside backer, there's clearly going to have to be some retooling of his game. No question.
Yeah.
He played 45 snaps in coverage this past year.
He's going to have to do some of that for sure if he's going to play out there.
Fine. He was fine in coverage. Yeah. Not anything to really blow you away. Misses a third of his tackles. Don't love that.
Yeah, it's so tough watching him on film sometimes because you're like, oh man, look at that. He's in the backfield again. Oh my gosh, how have you missed this guy? The sack was waiting there for you. And so I just feel like he could have had, it feels Brian, there's sometimes that he could have had 20 sacks. And it's just man, just
Brian, are you trying to tell us that Braylon Trice dropped 25 pounds?
It's possible. I wouldn't rule it out.
He doesn't look like he lost 25 pounds. He looks maybe 8 pounds lighter.
Yeah, if he came in at 260, I wouldn't have been as shocked. It just would be okay, that's is what it is. 260, yeah, you probably could. It's just very shocking to see it that number. I'm still blown away. I'm standing here, an hour, however much later, and just I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So I'm wondering is, this is
maybe he had a really bad flu.
It just was just a horrendous last week, and just there was nothing he could do about it. Yeah, I'm wondering if he started cutting and he was playing at 260. playing at like 258.
That would explain a lot, but then why would you keep?
And then you kept going. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one for me. I'm not sure. So again, does this sink him? No, of course not. It doesn't sink him. It's just, as you said, JJ, it's like he's gonna stick at 245. He's gonna be dropping to coverage, and he better be ready to do so. Like, that's how it's gonna be. If you're at 270, like,
so do we know if he's gonna do some agility testing at his pro day?
I would assume that most guys are gonna, because I don't feel like Trice is like the guy where he's like, oh, I'm a top 10 pick. I don't need to do the agilities. It's just, if he doesn't do them, it's very clear that it's like, okay, like, probably doesn't like what he sees. Adam say he didn't look great running the 40. I would like to comment that I did not see any of these guys really run the 40 other than Wilson and some of the linebackers. But that's, yeah, that's I mean, again, guess who else didn't look great? Let's put it this way, Adam, as well.
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton didn't look good running the 40. Guy was like weaving, couldn't run the straight line. So, like,
I have to make a confession.
Okay. Go ahead.
Among other things, but this was definitely the nail in the coffin.
Okay.
I let Kyle Hamilton's combine performance sway me, and I dropped him way down.
That's fair.
I also didn't, just the way he played safety in college, it just wasn't quite for me. But definitely it was the combine performance that swayed me the most, and that was a big miss by me.
Understandable. And that's the thing, right? The combine performance is like, T. Higgins didn't do well at the combine. They're Puka Nacua didn't run very fast. So it's tough. It's tough. It's a tool. It's nice. It can confirm a lot. Oh, it's dangerous looking at the cards. I want to get Tim. I want to get Tim on this too, but go ahead really quick, Jay. You go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to bring this up because Tim Solfest brought up, what are your thoughts on Mohamed Kamara? I'm obviously going to use the excuse to the question about him to bring up his card at 6'1 and 3/8, 248. After that 248, we're liking the 158 split now. If you put him as like linebacker, which guys like Dallas Turner, right, and Nolan Smith and guys like that are considered linebackers, you might see this number dip a little bit. Not sure he's going to play true defensive end. 248, probably going to be, like, once again doing outside linebacker stuff. But he looks explosive.
He only played 8 coverage snaps this past year, just 8.
Yeah, well,
he lined up outside the tackle 568 times, rushed the passer 342 times.
Okay.
Another 262 snaps in run defense. He only dropped in coverage 8 times.
Yeah.
I like Kamara, but he's just so freaking short.
Yeah, he is a little shorter.
And I guess maybe this is a good question for you. How much do you care about height with an edge rusher?
A little. I think there's times where obviously low man can win, but if you're winning, I mean, it helps you dip and bend if you can do it,
Right.
But, traditionally, 6'4", 6'3", like, that's usually where you want it. I'm not really bothered if you have, a lot of answers as a rusher. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're 6'1", but you like have all the answers, say you were like 6'1" and you have Latu's bag of rush moves, I'm not concerned. I think with Kamara, really is his explosiveness, his ability to kind of win through contact on like some inside moves on the outside track while also getting contacted, and like he keeps moving his feet. That's really, really good in that regard. I'm sure he's going to be probably labeled a pass rush specialist, but there are always plenty of those in the league that can perform well week in and week out. So I'm good with Mo Kamara. I don't think he's going to be in Green Bay, but I do think teams that are going to put the outside linebacker tag on him is probably where he's going to go. And if he's just coming in initially, probably on third downs, and you're letting him hunt QBs on third downs, that sounds good to me.
I think given the poor level of competition he faced in the Mountain West, the 11 missed tackles matters to me a lot more than it might if he was playing in the Big Ten or the SEC or the Pac-12 even this year. I mean, he's 4th overall in this class in pressure rate at nearly 19%, and that's absolutely absurd. But I guess I would like to see a little better run defense from him.
Sure.
Given that he's coming from such a stinking small school in such a tiny conference.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he's projected right now around 120 overall, which I think is
reasonable.
I think it's great. I think for kind of for who he has been and where he's played, I think 120 is fantastic. And I'm interested to see. Hey, Brian, you shut your mouth about the MAC. I'm not going to hear it from you. Shut it.
Is this a shot at Toledo?
How dare you,
Brian?
Brian is the biggest
talking down to
Toledo.
Oh, man.
And CMU is going to come swinging for you.
Tim also said Muhammad's tape looked pretty good. I think so, especially as a rusher. I think it looked he did really well. He obviously had a nice Shrine Bowl as well. So I think there's plenty to like there for teams that are going to stick with that kind of 3-4. They're going to have him an outside linebacker, pushing that, 7 wide 9 tech, stuff like that. So yeah. Adam also said regarding Trice really quick, he didn't look smooth. Like I thought he would down 20 pounds. Yeah, it's not great. And yeah, Tim, at 270, it just seems like Tim that he dropped weight and was like consistently doing so, as Brian mentioned a little before, like he was preparing for this 40 apparently and just dropping weight. So
side note on Brian. Brian lives in California.
Yep.
So this is why he's biased toward the Mountain West and against the MAC. So Brian, we'll have our MACtion without you.
You could be onto something there. You could be.
Brian talking about the MAC is like me talking about like. Actually, I don't want to say.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it there. Brian did bring this up really quick. I want to bring up Chris Jenkins. Let's do that.
Yeah,
we'll take this.
He's only 6'2". He looks taller to me than 6'2".
He does seem like he is the guy that's like tall, but he plays with such good leverage that you just kind of don't maybe notice the height that much. And it's like, okay, 6'2 3/4, that's fine. 299, I think is plenty. More biased towards, hey, he's admitting it. Brian's biased towards the Pac-12.
Brian,
I like the Pac-12.
Brian's pipe dream, I predict Brian's pipe dream is Mountain West Pac-2 merger. Keep the Pac name. I predict that's his pipe dream.
Pac West,
which is probably the best plan moving forward for
the Mountain Pack. The Mountain Pack. I kind of
like
that.
Bad.
I kind of like that. I don't know. There's something to that. So Chris Jenkins, really quick.
Yeah.
So 299, like that. Brian said he had a Blesto measurement of him at like 292, which was scaring me a little bit because I'm like, man, just get me to 300. Basically gets there. 169 10-yard split, nice. 9.7 broad jump, 95th percentile. The vertical's fine. 34-inch arm length. How about it? We like that. I think we're firmly here. We're firmly here with Chris Jenkins. Those are good numbers. I'm glad that we're close to 300. JJ, any thoughts on Jenkins?
Give me like 10 seconds to pull up the note I wanted to look at.
All right. I got you. I can ad lib. I could go to another player.
I don't know if
that's probably not the move.
Right.
Chris Jenkins. Took him in our. Did someone take him in our mock?
Chris Jenkins. Yeah, you
Monday?
did. You did.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Excellent. Oh yeah. That's
right. I just wanted to double check one of my new resources, which is Ryan Pack Daddy did a podcast about this. I don't know, like yesterday or something.
Okay.
Talking about Kevin Cole's tweet thread, which I highly recommend. Go check it out at Kevin Cole with 3 underscores at the end.
obnoxious 3 underscores.
Yeah,
but I love it.
So he's got a nice thread of attributes and their correlation to either draft position or NFL value. And so you find stuff like, for example, teams drastically overvalue the 40 time for a bunch of positions, especially wide receiver.
Yes.
But one of the nice things is it also shows like, hey, how much does, for example, arm length matter to interior defenders? The answer is like basically not at all. So long arms here on Chris Jenkins. And I just want to say Kevin Cole's new chart here says that we shouldn't really care about that as much as we should care about, for example, his 3-cone, which he didn't run.
I don't see any information on the 3-cone.
Would have been nice if you'd have bothered to run the 3-cone, Chris Jenkins, or at least if Kentley Platt could have had the number for us when he. Brian, do you know did Chris Jenkins run the 3-cone? Do we have that yet?
That's the tough part about this. If he does. By the way, evening, Peter. Hello, how are you doing? That's the tough part. Like some of these are going to be finished tomorrow, so we'll get like the full cards and all the official times for a lot of these guys tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're not going to be live during the day when these are, being posted, which is tough. But, all I gathered from that is Kevin Cole says arm length doesn't matter, but he wants us to notice that he has a longer underscore in his Twitter handle. So underscore length matters in a Twitter handle, though, apparently. So
hey, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things with the new version of Twitter/X that maybe are not people's favorites. But one thing I really appreciate that they have done is that they have changed the way the characters are rendered in your username so that people can't use like a lowercase L, an uppercase I to confuse you and stuff. And so if someone has 3 underscores in their username now, you can clearly see the gap in between the underscores, and you don't have to like try and select it and count how many. You can just see it. So I do appreciate that.
I like that. That's good to hear. All right. Couple of first rounders that I want to bring up really fast.
You're going to do Jared Verse, aren't you?
Well, now that you mentioned him, sounds good. Let's do him too.
Okay, we can do Jared Verse.
Right. He's. I was just gonna go. Ooh. We'll get to that. Some of the linebacker ones are in. Now let's do these two. I want to talk about these two instead. Where the heck did he go?
Kent's website is still broken, so I'm having to input all the data manually, and it has me in like the little bit of cranky mood as I'm trying to like make sure I have every prospect ready before we talk about them. But we got a 9.4 for Jared Verse.
Why can I not? Can't do a bunch of updates. It feels like he has. And so I'm like losing my place now. Okay, I found him. All right. Let's grab these two guys quick. Some of the linebackers ones are in. We'll get to those really quick as well. Yes, okay. Peter. Yes, he did. He did do very well today. Let's talk Chop Robinson really quick. 40. Holy smokes, man. Goodness. Now, 40, not as big a deal, but it's just cool.
It amazes me that there are people out there who still don't know that Chop Robinson is a Packer.
Oh, yes. Love it. 6'2" and 7/8, 254. Runs an unofficial 4.49. Sick. 1.454 10-yard split. Sick. The jumps look good. Goodness sakes. Are we just throwing the Sam linebacker tab on Robinson? Like, I feel like he's fluid moving back in coverage. Does he have great?
You keep wanting to put all these guys,
coverage, but like, whoo!
You keep wanting to make all these guys these off-ball linebackers who we just don't have like any college tape of them in coverage. So I can't comment on that. Chop has 15 coverage snaps in 2023. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't know.
I saw half of those in one game. I feel like I've seen at least half of that. I'm wondering how many snaps of coverage he had in West Virginia game. I wonder if it's half of them. I just think he looks extremely fluid. like extremely fluid. Like
What I should do is pull up his
in his
22
pedal
numbers.
in like, you know, dropping into the flat, like, and then closing to make a play. Like, I don't know. He moves different. That would be kind of sick, Brian. What if we put him at middle linebacker, like Clay played middle linebacker? I saw Ben Solak tweet like, you know, this is not my hashtag not my linebackers because they're all like under 240 now, right? So like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, here you go, right here, 254. You want to play some linebacker? Let's do it. Like, I don't know. I think it'd be extremely fun to have Green Bay with, you know, Van Ness and Gary are playing defensive end, and then just dropping Chop Robinson as the fifth man there on the line is basically the Sam linebacker. And just
All right,
like pressure packages with those guys would just be utterly absurd.
How many snaps last year do you think he played in the box, not on the D line?
In the box, 8.
And I'll give you a hint. I'm going to tell you how many total snaps he dropped into coverage. Okay, so you know that number is going to be bigger than the number of snaps he played in the box. He played 35 total coverage snaps in 2022. So how many do you think were not on the D line?
How many were not on the D line? 4.
Oh, wow. You're really close. It's 2.
Dang it.
I was expecting to be way off and be like, 25. No,
I was like, there's probably because he definitely like lines up like on at least against West Virginia, especially like he's lining up on the line and then dropping.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, this is what it is. Yeah, Green and Gold draft report. Someone did, I think Marcus Mosher posted that he was the fastest 10-yard split ever for a guy above 250.
Yeah, I did see that.
Which, yes, that is true, which is nuts. And yeah, his first 3 steps, like if he gets more consistent with his hands, I'm officially scared if I'm playing against him because there's just things where like crossing the face with an inside move and like just disruption is kind of like his game at this point. And it's just, it's wild to watch him cover so much ground. And to me, that's just like screaming, throwing this out there, not serious, of course, but like, is he the answer to our single high problems at safety? Then we got to figure that out. Like,
he's gonna be the
is he gonna do everything
pathway.
yeah they're like, we got a guy who could cover Kittle. It's like, yes, here he is, like, let's do it.
I love it.
All seriousness, all kidding aside here, but like that's he moves different. He does. It's 100% true. And I know, JJ, you said he's edge 2 right now for you, I think, or he's just in the top 2. You maybe haven't decided between him and Latu.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, probably it's probably those 2. I mean, there's a lot to like with Jared Verse as well, but it's probably those 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you who I don't like though. I am not a Dallas Turner guy at all.
Had a great day. Let him know.
I don't have his RS in here.
Let him know. Oh, I just saw Trevor Sikkema post the numbers, and they were like really high percentile stuff. Tim puts, there you go. Tim, can you imagine Chop actually covering wide receiver? Yes.
Homeboy has
Joe Barry might have been myself a job if the Packers had Chop Robinson to drop into coverage. Like Joe Barry's like, this is how I win.
Chop has a grand total of 91 coverage snaps in his college career. Every year he has played fewer coverage snaps, 41, 35, and 15. And yeah, he was hurt in 2023, but the percentage of his snaps in coverage has also gone down, not just the raw numbers, it's also the percentage.
I say we we reverse that trend, This is actually true right here. Like there's a chance this is real. By Green and Gold draft report saying LL, but other than tensions, he may be faster than any of the day 2 safeties. Yeah, I think it's possible. Mitch, it's possible, man. It's very possible. It's becoming Will McDonald for me. Yeah, I think so. I think we're getting there. There's no doubt. Aaron Maben 2.0. That's interesting.
By
Joe Barry would be like, "See, it works. I don't know what you are talking about." Chop versus Justin Jefferson. Heck yeah! All right, so this is what we're doing.
by my
JJ,
unofficial.
this is why you're good. If you put that poll out today instead of earlier this week,
Yeah,
I think you're getting a lot more votes right now. Just saying.
You're not kidding. Maybe
Chop
I'll
Hive
rerun it.
We're going way up with the Chop Hive right now. So
Maybe I'll
get less
rerun the
votes.
poll after the combine is totally over, and we'll see if you and I together can dethrone Ryan. So
I'm going to get less votes because Darius Robinson didn't test well for a defensive end.
True.
So I'm in trouble.
That's true.
I'm in trouble.
I'm just glad you took Darius because I might have taken him if you hadn't taken him. Oh, I think you drafted after me in the first round, didn't you? But still.
I did, yeah. I did.
Still.
I think you took Chop first, but that's interesting from Peter Stone, the NFL Network compared Chop to Micah. I'm sure they're just doing I get it. Right.
What's to compare
any Penn State edge rusher to another one? Like all the Penn State guys have green in their RAS cards. Like this is not new. We can pull up a Adisa Isaac here any second. It's green. Spoiler alert. Like, are there going to be Kalen King fans after this weekend? Possibly. Great. Again, it's going to be green probably. So like that's the Penn State way. I don't know about this, Adam. Was Van Ness faster than the majority of safeties last year? I don't know.
So actually, that's a question I could answer. But before I do that, we don't have official DB numbers right now, but
no,
from my unofficial DB numbers, Chop Robinson would run the 40 faster than all but 4 safeties this year, which would be Bo Braid, Kenny Logan, Mark Perry, and Kalen Bullock. None of whom are projected to go higher than end of the second round.
Yes, I had to guess of the 4, I was going to say Bullock for sure. I do think there's a chance Tyler Owens runs really fast. He's like one of the favorites for the 40 time right now from Texas Tech. But
his 40 is projected, which means nothing, but 4.52.
Interesting. That is wild because like I'm pretty sure he was like on the I think he was on the list, if not the favorite of like odds for the 40, which I was like, oh, I gotta go look this guy up now. Are there measurements that similar? I guess Parsons was in the 240s, wasn't he?
But their game is like totally different. I just don't see what there is to compare.
I think they're trying to compare him to what Micah is now because he's rushing off the edge all the time, basically. And that's okay. Yeah, that makes sense. This makes more sense. This is the athleticism, which I feel like we kind of mentioned, like, you could kind of comp Penn State guys to Penn State guys because it's just how they play.
Quick, what was the question about the safeties last year? It was Van Ness or Chop Robinson?
Van Ness was from Adam.
Well, Van Ness's 40 last year was a 4. Nope, hang on, that's not him. His 40 last year was a 4.58. And with safety last year,
were not great.
We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh man, this is way more than I thought.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20. About 30 guys total.
Wow.
Faster than that last year. So
it's tough scene.
Apparently 4.58 is not that hard to beat with Now a bunch of these guys went undrafted, so let me filter them out.
Okay.
And let's see where we're at. It's still not going to be pretty. So you're still looking at a lot of guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I know Tim saying that comps not necessarily mean anything. Yeah. I mean, I think the idea of like, I think what the networks are trying to do with comps now is to kind of make them people rather than trying to go back to like 2005, which probably be more accurate to do, but that seems like what the networks are doing. Hello, JC Cowboys Network. How's it going? Welcome. And who jumped out to you this today from the defensive line and linebackers? Oh yeah, and then Owens did say this. Yeah, he did say he believes the world is flat.
Real quick before we go any further,
All
Who
right.
was it?
I want to get to Latu. We're
Ryman?
going to get to some linebackers, but yeah.
Tip Ryman, who was talking about the birds thing. Listen, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a meme. He doesn't actually believe that. There's a whole subreddit dedicated to like spreading birds aren't real. Okay. He doesn't believe it. If you think that this is real, and if you're like, I can't believe what an idiot he is, you're just old. That's all it is. You're just old.
Well, there you go. Tim says Tyler Owens is trying to get picked by the Jets at 10. That's funny.
Saw that.
Jarrell, how's it going? Oh yeah, coming over from PTA. Yeah, I'm assuming they just they finished up over there as well. Okay, Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy's that guy. I think he did pretty well this week. We can bring up his card here in a moment. Yeah, Murphy. The Murphy thing that he did, I saw like he almost but in with a pass rush move, like almost did like the Aaron Donald to Ndamukong Suh thing where they just like kick and like just punch tackling dummies. Some violent hands there for sure. Green Gold Draft Board saying he goes back to the 1980s for some comps. Have a good night, Peter. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. DBs and tight ends,
Peter.
For sure. Let's talk Latu really quick, JJ. We'll get to some linebacker stuff as well because I saw they're out there. Sure. Latu, I know that was the big thing this week. Was he going to get cleared medically? And was he going to be as good of an athlete, as relative to his peers? He's obviously not the most explosive player. He doesn't win like Chop Robinson wins. That's not his game. But to see this kind of, we can work with this. This is fine here at the 6'4 3/4, 259. Right. Explosion stuff was good. We can take those middling numbers. The 162 unofficial, that will work very, very well. If you have a good 10-yard split, if that translates to the first few steps of your rush, and we know how good Latu is at countering, we're in good shape there with him playing on the edge. JJ, any thoughts else on Latu's day today?
Well, by far the most interesting part to me was him saying that none of the NFL teams he's talked to have had any concerns about their retirement. So
that's
huge,
man.
If the teams haven't even asked him about it, I don't care about it. So this is probably gonna be the last time you're ever gonna hear me mention his retirement. Consider it settled in my mind.
Yeah, I think it doesn't seem like it's. I don't think it's going to come out like later this week. I think we would have already heard about it, right? They've done the on-field workouts. They've done all the testing. Like, I feel like we would have heard something at this point on Latu, which is great news for him. I'm happy for him. He's earned himself a first-round selection to this point, and like it would have stunk to see that obviously derailed by the medical stuff. Obviously, prioritize that over everything else. But it's great that he's made that comeback and now. Looks like at this point he's on his way to being a first-round pick. Unfortunately, Brian coming in saying arms are too short. It's a tough scene. Let's see.
Yes, but Kevin Cole told us not to worry about arm length. So
it's true. Well, yeah, but Green Bay and their thresholds, though.
Hey, Brian,
we don't know.
All
but
he
Brian
wants
knows.
about whether the Packers will draft him. I'm telling you that it does not going to have any bearing on whether or not he's a good player.
It's true. It's a good point. Yes, absolutely. Which we want to make sure. Yeah, we're kind of going over this as well for all teams. I still think Latu, if I were, unfortunately, Chicago, Minnesota, teams would probably be considering taking him, that early potentially in the draft. He's been that good. Jarrell Lee says Fisk was the golden boy today. There's no doubt about it. Yes. One of the drivers here in chat a long time about Peyton Wilson. He says if Wilson makes the 41, roll the dice. He's that good. He's pretty darn good. He's pretty darn good. Mark Zambito's back here. How's it going? This guy's Barney arms. That's funny. It's like the dinosaur in Meet the Robinsons. Big head and little arms.
Yeah,
like shakes him around. It's very funny. Appreciate you, JC Cowboys Network on the like button. What was that? Sorry.
Not sure how well this plan was thought out.
That's good. That is good. Green Gold Draft Report wants to see Latu's bench numbers. don't know if he's gonna. I'm assuming he would have done them, but we'll see. I guess there's more to come for sure on that. Jarrell Lee, I saw you post this in the PTA like before it started. See KJ Wright as a comp for Chop Robinson.
I
Sam
got
linebacker.
When you talk about
Sam linebacker, we like that. Do we want to hit? Does anybody in chat or JJ? Yeah. Do we want to hit any other defensive linemen potentially?
I got a linebacker I want to talk about
before we go. Well, before we go to linebacker, is there anybody? I'll pull up one that I want to mention because he's interesting to me. I don't know if it's
Miles Cole.
I don't know if it's Rook or Ruke. We haven't done Miles Cole. We can bring him up in a second. Ruke or Rook or Rororo from Clemson, defensive tackle, 6'4", 294, 34-inch arm length. There's a 169 unofficial on the 10-yard split. Jumps look really good. He is. Maybe Mark. They might do bench tomorrow. I'm trying to remember what the schedule is. If they bench after all the other testing, I keep forgetting when bench is. That's like the one part of this. I don't remember when they do it. It might be the day after all this, but Ororo is an interesting one. For a lot of teams looking, I think the film looked really, really solid. Like it seems like, and I'm pretty sure he's the guy who's, he's only done this for a few years. He's new-ish to football. Like that's exciting for sure. I know there was a lot of talk. We could bring up Byron Murphy's really quick, right? He's 6'0.5", 297. Splits look good all across the board there. Okay, Mark thinks so as well. I assume that means maybe bench is tomorrow. There was one other guy because Dwayne Carter, because a lot of people are starting to like him as a kind of a mid-round option for the Packers. Defensive tackle numbers look solid there. 173 10-yard splits in the 81st percentile, verticals in the 88th. A little shorter, 6'2" and 3/8, but he gets to 303. And Brian is an Ororo guy. There you go.
Every time you say his last name, you sound like Scooby-Doo.
Yep, that's true. But can't confirm that's how you say it, and I just enjoy saying it for sure.
Can you say it one more time, but with a Scooby-Doo accent?
Ororo. Yeah, I can say it for sure.
So we're friends. Love you, man.
Yeah, man. So yeah,
no hesitation. You hear that, you guys? No hesitation from this man. He just leapt into it.
Zero. That was
Mark Zambito says some scores will change when they do the bench. Dude, the scores have been changing like by the minute.
It's wild.
So the RIS website is not working at the moment, but Kentley Platt is tweeting out RIS scores.
Yeah.
I have gone in, like, I just, as he tweets a new one out, I grab the number and I go manually and put it into my database. And I've now overwritten scores that he's given us and then given us the new one like 7 times.
It's because they're unofficial, that's the tough part. But you said you wanted.
I think he's already had like 7 updates already. Yeah. 7 people who have had updated RSs already. So
yeah, because I'm sure the 40s and the 10s and all that are going to be becoming official now.
And I remember from past years too, like even like over the course of a number of days and weeks after the combine, they're still going in there and they're tweaking stuff. And like the RAS, there is kind of a little bit of fluctuation until the draft, basically. Yeah, why? I don't know. I don't know what they're changing, but
yeah, I don't think they should pro day adjust unless they're doing a new test, like unless they're doing it like new. I don't need to see another 40. We've seen it. Like we don't need to take the 0.05 off that we know you guys are shaving for their 40s and 10s and all that. We don't need that. Like we don't need it. JJ, I know you want to talk about Miles Cole quick, and then we'll quickly get to the linebackers and probably get out of here. 6'6", 278, 36 and 7/8 inch arm length. That's insane. Broad jump of 10 to 84th, verticals 84th percentile. 166 is 72nd percentile on the 10-yard split.
He's just such an interesting guy because I really kind of view him way more in the NFL, at least, as more of a defensive tackle than a defensive end.
Interesting.
Personally, but he didn't play inside hardly at all in college. He also just didn't really have the production ever. Like his counting stats just weren't that great. His grades overall weren't that great, but he's an athletic freak. I think he has the size, he's a little bit light maybe, but not a lot light to play inside.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Sounds like you disagree about that.
I just think I think for a guy who struggles to leverage pretty well and use his hands, and again, he's taller, so it's harder to establish good leverage when you're taller than a lot of guys you're going up against, or at least as tall.
Sure.
I just think it feels like the play strength with him isn't always the best. He kind of got pushed around a little bit in Mobile when he started facing some of the top tackles.
Yeah.
It's hard. This is kind of another Texas Tech, once again, a kind of a Tyree Wilson thing where he's just tall, freaky athlete. There's a lot of potential there to work off of, but it's a tough projection because it's just.
How did Wilson do his rookie year with
not
the
good,
Raiders?
Not good.
I really did not like Wilson at all.
It was not good. It was not good.
He's basically was just an athletic freak who kind of didn't really know how to play football.
Wow, it was 24. Yeah.
Wow, that 24
years old. 24 last year.
I guess he was born in 2000, so he was only 23 at the time, but still. As a rough rookie season.
Yeah, it was not great.
18.5% missed tackles his rookie season.
Yeah, he did not. It was not great. It was not great. But yeah, Tim, so the reason it changes is right. It's comparing guys to the same position. So when one person updates, everybody has to update because they're either moving down or up. Right. And then if you're updating multiple guys at the time, you guys are just, shooting up, down all over the place because everything's not set. And that's tougher. Tougher. Yeah. They did have a stopwatch issue in 22 when all these guys ran. It was very weird. Because Watson did run the 4.28 unofficial. I think Wilson's and Olave's was 4.33, I think maybe something like that. Unofficial, it went up to I think 4.39, 4.38, something like that.
I think his pro day was pretty good though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. Shorten that track a little bit. 38 yards. That 38-yard dash was sick.
You should see my 30-yard dash.
There you go. There it is. I think I could beat Chop Robinson if you give me a 20-yard dash. I think I could beat him. Mark Zambito says saw Darius Robinson listed as defensive tackle instead of a defensive end. Yeah, it seemed like his numbers looked a lot better as a defensive tackle. It was not the best in terms of the 10-yard split, and obviously the 20 and 40 in terms of a defensive end. So that was, a little tougher to see there. We did cover him earlier in the show. It was one of the first guys we talked about because obviously, right, he's been on the Packer train for a while. There's been a lot of talk about him. So, should we get to some linebackers, perhaps?
Can we do Nathaniel Watson, Mississippi State?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do Nathaniel Watson. Here we go.
I mean, we only have.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. He was 244 in Mobile. That was not that long ago. Wow.
Did not expect what are your thoughts on a 233 middle linebacker in the NFL? That's pretty light.
I think it can work if the play strength is good and you can see him getting off tackles well, right? If he's playing strong and he's getting through tackles, or at least has an answer around them and a plan where you see the Nick Boltons of the world who he has shorter arms. So it's always hard for him to engage and then disengage. So he has to have a plan to get around guys. And if you don't have, don't have one of those, it's a lot tougher. It's a lot tougher.
He had 46 run stops, 13 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, just a 7.7% missed tackle rate, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's third best in this class. I know there was a couple guys who were hovering right around 6%.
Yeah.
90 tackling grade.
It seems like at 233, we're looking more to play further out in the formation, further away from, the center, right? Further away from the offensive line. You're letting them play in space. I mean, the 4-6-3 is a nice thing to look at there. It's a nice.
What about
too? Holy cow!
What about thoughts on him as a will linebacker in this new Packers defense?
I think that's probably that's probably for the best. But 10-yard split, really, really good. If you're explosive and you're reactive and on time, and you have an answer to get around guys, ultimately you're going to have to be able to get off blocks to play middle. But I don't see any problem with him as a will linebacker. I'm surprised that we see this big of a drop, because he was, like I mentioned, he was 244 in Mobile. So to drop him 233 for the
I almost wonder. You see those poor explosion grades. I almost wonder if he dropped weight to try and get those explosion grades up a little bit.
That could be.
Which, I mean,
it's just interesting. The 10 yards really good. And
it is interesting.
The jumps aren't always. Wonder how many guys do that. How many guys diverge at that point?
Nobody cares about the broad jump at all. The vert.
Well, regret to inform you, if you look at Packers running backs, I think they care about it a little bit. At least.
But he's not a running back.
No, I know.
I'm just saying, like the vert matters a little more. And 31's not great.
Yeah, 31's, it's not the best. No, it is not.
Green and Gold Draft Report is highlighting that 159 unofficial 10-yard split, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a good number. And the 4-6-3 is official. So I imagine that I don't think that'll move the 10-yard very much if that 4-6 is official. So, but yeah,
no real problem with the arm length or anything there.
No, it's fine. If we see some good agility testing, that would obviously be helpful to boost this number. But
do we get the agility drills tomorrow?
I don't know. It seems like
the group today.
Maybe. I always thought they did them with the jumps at the same time when they weren't running the 40. But yeah, I don't know. Unless they're being updated, later tonight, and they're a little bit later. Couple quick guys to note. Obviously, we mentioned
SDN says teams will run at Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, teams are going to run at your will linebacker.
It's not shot. I wonder if, potentially.
I mean, he's not playing defensive end.
Right.
Like, they got to get through your D line to run at him, I guess.
Yeah. JJ, these 6'3" and 7'8", 233.
Dude, I'm gonna.
Hey, the jumps are better too. The jumps are better than the 72nd, 73rd percentile compared to Watson. It's gonna
suck so much seeing him in a different team's uniform.
Official 4-4-3. 154 10-yard. Wow. Come on. Come on.
Listen, I don't care if this I know it doesn't translate to NFL success. I know that. I don't care. It is fun as heck to watch elite athletes putting up these.
Oh yeah, that's what the combine is for sure. It's a lot of fun. If you're not having fun right now, what are you doing with the combine?
15 years ago, what position would Peyton Wilson have been playing? Would he have been a safety?
Yeah, it would have been strong safety. Yeah, essentially. Fullback? No, probably he's not even big enough for that. Can you play running back?
He might be a tailback, actually.
Tall running back. Yeah, I agree. Wilson. I agree with Green and Gold Draft Report. Wilson could be a star. Oh, he could play the star. Oh. He said play the star. My bad. Got Peyton Wilson on the brain. There were a couple others. Yeah, come on. Talk to me. Talk to me. Cedric Gray. 6'1.5", so a little bit shorter, but 234. 35.5 in the verge, JJ. Get our 80th percentile there. 159, 10-yard, official 4.64. We like it.
It's pretty good.
We like that.
Yeah.
It's Cedric Gray and Peyton Wilson season. Oh, guys, oh my gosh. A Penn State guy with a 9 starting. Who could have seen this coming? Alert the press. Another Penn State guy has an RAS above 9.
Where's Adisa Isaac?
Wait, I did show him briefly.
Did you?
I did show him briefly, yeah. Oh, this was the other guy I wanted to talk about, but he's listed right now as a defensive tackle, which is interesting. We'll have to find Nealon. We might need to bring him up later this week and put him at defensive end. Because obviously at 267, we're not. But Nealon.
Go back quick.
All right. Oh, can you not see it? Let me see.
No, I keep.
He's got 3-cone stuff too, by the way.
So they did run it today. We just don't have the numbers.
Yeah, we just don't have them. So that's gonna be tough scene.
So we're not crazy.
Yeah, we're just not gonna get them during the show, unfortunately. It's tough scene.
If only we were live streaming every single night or something.
If we were live streaming for 4 hours, we'll have the numbers. Midnight, we'll have them. Promise. Midnight tops.
Flat is running Zadarius Smith, Antonio Brown, and Vontaze Burfict.
Yeah, I saw the Antonio Brown one when I was looking at it. I want to know what the defensive end score is so bad here. Because obviously he's going to be 98th and 99th percentile, like everything, because it's a defensive tackle listing right here. I need to see the defensive end numbers with Nealon. But another guy, middle rounds, Green Bay goes defensive end. I could see that for sure. Got to find where is not Ulofoshio. Don't have a lot of linebackers. This was one I was interested in. Is Jalen Ford from Texas.
Well,
he's 6'2" and 3/8, 240. Bigger cat at linebacker. Would have loved to see a 40. Obviously, we'll see on the agility testing what those are. But usually, I thought if you go last with the agility testing, usually your numbers are in. So I don't know. Like the linebackers should have been doing this first. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Before we go, anybody got anybody they want to bring up? I know obviously there's a lot of talk with these two guys. Junior Colson was 6'2.25", 238. No testing numbers across the board. He's not doing them.
Well, that's just great.
But we do have this. So Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker from Texas A&M. He was 227 at the Shrine Bowl. Obviously, was dealing with injury. I'm sure that contributed a little bit. He was, I think, listed at 232 at Texas A&M. So he's 230 here, 6'2" and 1/8, 34 arm length. He definitely looks like on film. He's got long arms. Jumps look solid. Then you got a 4.51 and a 1.54 10-yard split unofficial. We're looking pretty solid. Drilly, he's on the screen. Here he is. For all of those who are very interested in Cooper playing will linebacker in Green Bay, here you go.
230. That is something else.
It's a new age. It's a new age until teams run the ball more than they throw again, and then they'll need 245-pound linebackers again. Maybe 250.
Man. 230, 6'2", 230. It's just
tough.
Tiny. You can't.
It's tough.
Mince words. Now, that's a little heavier than we thought.
It's not Marquise Bell tiny, right? Playing for Dallas at linebacker, but
true.
Traditionally,
I mean, I think at the Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl, whatever, I think he was a 227.
Yes.
Wherever.
Mm-hmm.
So 230 is,
Shrine Bowl. Yep.
he's had a couple ham sandwiches, drank a lot of water.
And got health. Maybe obviously got healthier, was able to run and do a lot there. Because I don't think he did anything at the Shrine Bowl other than weigh in.
These are some pretty good numbers. I guess I'm fine with it. But this does make me lean, I guess I might give the edge a little bit to Peyton Wilson.
It's fair. How could you not? How could you not? We're just geeked over Chop and Peyton Wilson. Funny enough, the two guys that are in the thumbnail on this live stream.
Such a coincidence.
Shocked.
Did both of those guys get drafted in our mock draft the other day, our five rounder?
I don't think anybody picked Wilson because PFF had him in like the late 20s, right? They had him ranked like 28. So I don't think anybody was picking him there. So
when Cooper DeJean goes at 7 overall, it's going to be
it's wonky, a little wonky. Yeah. But yeah, there you go. Edgerrin Cooper looking solid. Were there any other linebackers that were worth bringing up? I feel like no. I briefly brought him up. I know Johnny Newton. He was 6'1 3/4, 304. By the way, just for anybody interested, he's not doing any of the testing. I think that might be it. I don't think there was anybody.
I don't have anything more on Junior Colson to talk about.
Yeah, I know that was tough that he wasn't doing a lot, and then Jalen Ford didn't run. We got Eichenberg stuff here.
Let's do Eichenberg. Yeah.
Was he he's really here.
Low? I didn't see his number.
Yeah, let's finish with Eichenberg here, and we'll call it. We'll call it an evening here. This is a good one. 6'2 3/8, 233. It's just a new age. We're looking at sub 235 in a lot of places for these guys, and which stinks because you had Nathaniel Watson, who was at 244 at the Senior Bowl, then drops down to 233. Like that was. I'm a little disappointed. I want to check one thing. We can come back to Tommy. I saw him here, and I know he ran. Yeah. Where are we at? Oh, yeah. Trayvon Wallace was at 244 at Mobile too, and he's 237 now. Guy's dropping weight to run at the combine. Trayvon Wallace, though, might have to have
Wallace a conversation. Is interesting because he's like
have a conversation.
He's like all athlete and super raw, and I have no idea how old he is.
Yeah. And like 10-yard split, not ideal, not the best one. But wow, so he can clearly close though, because goodness sakes. We'll go from a 1.62 10-yard to 4.51. That's impressive. But sorry, did not mean to cut you off there.
No, it's okay. If Wallace is super young, I'm intrigued because he's like, the production isn't there. The grades aren't there. The athleticism, like the body is there for days. And he just didn't put up any of the type of numbers that you'd want to see anywhere. Like the nicest thing I can say is the 18% missed tackle rate, which is middle of the pack.
Yeah.
86.8 passer rating when targeted, 88% completion rate. I don't know. He's like a huge bundle of potential. And if I knew how old he was, that would inform a lot of my opinion.
Well, really quick before I think we'll call it with Wallace, but I just want to see how many years he played for Kentucky. At the very least, it'd give us something. Hold up. I see 3 seasons of play.
So he might be.
It's possible he is.
Brian Mountfee has him as a third-year junior.
Oh, young player was at the Senior Bowl. That's interesting.
Former 4-star.
We have now put him.
I'm just going to read Brian's full notes because I found him interesting.
Let's do it.
4-star from Georgia, big time hype during the summer of 21. Top reserve. What does top reserve mean? Is he just like a backup?
That must mean what that is.
Overall, had a rough go of it. Yes, he did. Terrible run defense grade. Yep. Below average run D. Good tackler and in coverage. Consistently average grades in 23. 4 sacks, 1 interception. I just feel like this dude is just like, he's all potential.
He's good. He's he's not in year 6, so I think I think you got to put him in the intrigue bucket. I mean, it seems like junior.
No question about it.
He's in the bucket. So
he's like, okay, so let me see here. Where is he? He's currently projected in the 5th round, end of the 5th round.
Yeah.
Meets everything we're looking for minimums. Just not that productive. 1.18 impact plays per game. Really basically split time in coverage and run defense. Not a lot of pass rush attempts, just 60. Not terrible, but he got home 31% of the time, which is fine for a linebacker. Okay. He's intriguing. 10 missed tackles, but 45 tackles made, 26 run stops, 8 tackles for loss, a forced fumble. He's interesting. Very much feels like a developmental guy.
Yeah, I think it's possible for sure.
Oh, I like this Jarrell about Fred Warner being 229.
Is he playing at 229? Because I see his RAS card from the 2018 draft, and it says 6'3" and 3/8", 236 is what I got him.
What's 7 pounds? Come on.
Guess they go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's true. It's true. I think Brian hits on the head here for sure. We're kind of talking about that bit where it just seems like it's a lot of potential right now, which, there you go. Oh, Tim, you got the number? What are we looking at? What's the RAS score number for defensive end? Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Oh, yes. Marshawn Kneeland. That's what we like to see that. I know he was like, where is he?
Oh, wait a minute. What about?
So here's his defensive tackle, but it's good to hear that he's a 9.58. What did Tim? If you have it on hand, what did the 166 10-yard split give him percentile wise? As well as what's the 3-cone percentile? Would love to know those for him at defensive end. Because I mean 6'3", 267, that's pretty good. While we wait for that number,
linebacker.
What?
Ulofoshio.
You want to bring him up? I can bring him up really quick.
9.55.
This is the last guy. We have to call it after this, folks. We have to. There we go. Yeah, one more. 236. Oh, Fred Warner was 236. There we go. It's over.
How tall is Fred Warner?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Okay. The 166 is 70. How tall? 6'3" and 3/8.
Fred Warner is 6 feet 3 inches tall.
6'3" for Fred Warner.
I found his RAS card. Yeah, 6'3" and change, 3/8. Okay.
Look at that vert.
Yeah, 39. Oh. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's. I mean, we'll take that for sure.
This
so
is
the 166
athletic group today.
So really quick for Kneeland, the 166 10-yard split is the 72nd percentile. We can work with that. Tim, what was his 3-cone? I think was 702. What is the 3-cone percentile number that you get for him as a defensive end? Just the 3-cone, whatever that 702 nets you. I imagine it's going to be in the yellow range, I would think. Green and Gold Draft Report says Kneeland is a stud, my boys. He's an edge with below average first step, but tough and great in pursuit. No, Brian, we did not bring up Tyrese Knight. We can. That's Brian. I'm trying to wrap up a show here, and we're bringing up more cast to look at. We'll look at them. Oh, it's a 904, 70. Really, a 7023 cone is as 90th percentile. That's kind of surprised at that, but we'll take that. Nealand, yeah, welcome. Yeah, so here's Tyrese Knight, 6'0" and a half, 233. Loving the 10-yard splits from a lot of these linebackers. Those are good numbers. A lot of 154s, someone wow, that is I'm very shocked that it's a 90th percentile. But there you go, Tyrese Knight to call it an evening. Some stuff here. Anything on him, JJ, or
It's about what I was expecting size-wise.
okay.
Tiny bit taller, tiny bit lighter.
Seems to be.
He played a lot of coverage snaps. 330, 11% missed tackle rate, 75 run stops. Holy crap! That's a lot of run stops. Hold on real quick here. I want to see. That is the most in this class. That's what I thought.
Wow,
it's the most in this class by 11.
Wow. Okay.
15 tackles for lost.
Let's have to watch this cat now.
One forced fumble, just 15 missed tackles, 117 tackles made. That is most in this class by 20. In coverage, 106.9 passer rating when targeted. Really low pressure rate. He has 5 sacks, 9 hurries, 7 hits, 21 total pressures on 43 pass rush attempts. Kind of just too small a sample size to really take anything away from there. So definitely coverage is kind of his worst area, but it's not bad. It's just not great.
Right. If he can come downhill and make some plays, get off blocks, we'll take that. We'll take that.
For kind of a shorter dude who's a little bit heavier for his height, you're getting a thumping run defender. That's what you're getting in Tyrese Knight.
Yeah. We'll take that. I think
406 run defense snaps. That is second most.
Wow. It's a lot.
Who is this with 418? Miami of Ohio, Matt Salopek.
Huh.
Or Salopek. I don't know. I haven't watched that guy. I've not gotten around to Miami of Ohio, that's for sure.
No. Well, Brian seems to think Knight is a Packer, and he also says Conference USA better than the MAC, of course. Couple more from Tim. The shuttle that Nealand did is in the 96th percentile for defensive ends. Oh, it's so good.
Which player?
For Nealand.
For Nealand?
Oh, guys just cooking out here. We love that. Yeah, I'll take a look
Nealand
at that.
Nealand at defensive end. All right, got it.
Yeah. I will definitely be taking a look at that, Tim, for sure. Appreciate Tim. I appreciate you. Appreciate you hanging out in the chat tonight and contributing a lot. It's always good when we got people like you and obviously Brian and Green Gold Draft and a lot of others who come in and help drive conversation, because that's what it's about. I think we're going to be back here tomorrow night talking DBs and tight ends. That's the plan. And obviously, if you guys are like, oh, I saw this complete card, do you want to talk about, this is a complete thing? When all that comes in, we could probably do that. Right. As of right now, I believe Jay just said he's planning to be here tomorrow night.
Actually, I hadn't really. So, which groups do we get tomorrow?
We got DBs and tight ends tomorrow.
All right, I'm gonna have to make it here for tomorrow. I think
DBs, baby.
Probably Sunday. I definitely won't be there.
Yeah.
Saturday's a maybe. I'm gonna try and make it here tomorrow because I'm too excited about this DB group.
We have to do. We're talking about this. How much how many safeties is Chop Robinson going to beat in the 40? We're going to have to find that out tomorrow. We're going to have to be there. We're going to have to.
And to Brian's point, JJ's wife said I'm a tight end. And that is absolutely true.
All right,
she loves my tight end.
All right. Mike says James Williams. Yeah, that's another. At 230, he puts on weight. He's an interesting move to linebacker. He's got some hit power too. Thank you, Green and Gold Draft, for bringing plenty of info and plenty of conversation as well. Mick, hello. It is we're gonna call it right here for day one combine reactions. JJ, let them know where they can follow you really quick on the way out here.
Yeah, follow me at JJLAHEY. That's Leahy on Twitter. And listen to Packernet Derailed every Monday night these days. Me and Jake and Pack Daddy cutting it up, having a good time.
Yeah, you can obviously follow me at Jake and Earl Draft on Twitter. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe as well. And if you're listening on the pod, hopefully we'll have a few more episodes of Combine reactions. And they're going to be pretty beefy, it seems. So hopefully that'll give you something to listen to on this weekend. Enjoy, everyone. We will see you tomorrow night. Thank you all.